Welcome back to the Senate Committee on Government Operations meeting of Thursday, March 13th, 2025. We're going to first look at S56, an act relating to creating an Office of New Americans. And joining us is Lauren Hibbert from the Secretary of State's office. Dr. Secretary, welcome.
Thank you so much. And for the record, I'm Lauren Hibbert, Deputy Secretary of State. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on this bill. We really support the creation of a study group to contemplate creating an Office of New Americans. We also appreciate that we're not a named member of the study group, but a critical group to be considered, and we definitely feel so. We do have a recommendation for an amendment. Currently in this bill, only our Office of Professional Regulation is noted as an entity to be consulted, but we feel that the entire Secretary of State's office should be a consulted entity. And that's because our office supports and new Americans in a variety of ways. For instance, we have many new Americans who set up new businesses. We want to make sure that our business services division is accessible and has appropriate resources. We have many new Americans who vote for the first time and get registered for the first time. And it's actually a really important piece of Secretary Copeland Hanzas's administration that we go to every naturalization ceremony that occurs in the state. And it's incredibly moving. I have the opportunity to go on her behalf sometimes, and to have new Americans be able to register to vote and understand the importance of just that small slice of civics. Of course, there's a lot more that's voting in civics, but we really feel strongly that new Americans need to be brought into that American democracy as quickly and easily as possible. Also, new Americans interact with our office that maintains records and archives, VASARA, the Vermont State Records and Archives Administration, which you might think, why? But right now, there are record numbers of new Americans seeking the certified copies of their children's birth certificates because their children were born in America and they are new citizens. So the challenges to birthright citizenship happening right now are causing a dramatic increase to the use of our Records and Archives Administration, and also marriage certificates. Apostilles of marriage certificates are really important. So it's not just within the Office of Professional Regulation, although it is also in the Office of Professional Regulation. We really want to make sure that individuals who are trained in other countries to perform an occupation or qualified to do an occupation have a pathway to licensure in Vermont and are able to practice at their highest ability. And the Office of Professional Regulation has been really dedicated to this work. We received a federal grant where we did extensive work trying to make sure that there were, well, I can't say that there are none, that we work to reduce barriers for new Americans seeking occupational licensure. And we've done a lot of work in that space, but we know we have more work to do. And so because our office is in a number of ways the first stop in becoming civically engaged, entering the workforce, starting a business, or having appropriate documentation for your family, we think it's crucial that we're consulted. And we also think it's crucial that we have the support and guidance of an office that's dedicated to this work. That would be incredibly helpful for us. We really try our best. We use translation services. We have some, not all. It would be fiscally and logistically very difficult to have all of our resources accessible in all languages, but we use the resources available. We use translation services quite frequently. We really try our best, but we know we have room for improvement, and an Office of New Americans would really help us, and we'd love to have input into what that would mean, what that help could look like and should look like. So we would love to be a stakeholder that is consulted, but not a member of the committee.
Okay. Senator Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you so much. That's a really good point. So if I'm understanding your suggestions correctly, we would probably on page 3, line 10, change Office of Professional Regulation to Secretary of State.
That is our recommendation. We see in every area of our office, and we just think it would be best if we were just generally named, and then we could bring the right stakeholders to the meeting.
And I would just say, as someone, my mother-in-law became a new American this last year,
Oh.
and we had the naturalization ceremony in Rutland, and Secretary Copeland-Honvis was there, and it was such a joy to be able to have. I mean, I didn't know she was going to be there. The many other folks did not, I think, necessarily expect her or knew she was on the agenda, and it was so beautiful, and it made me feel really good to be a Vermonter at that level, that level of authority at that naturalization ceremony. So I really appreciate that you do hold that in such high regard, and I'm glad
I don't think I've been to a single one where I have not
literally
tried to hold back fears, and we have the opportunity to speak, and it's just, how do you communicate to the individuals, usually from such a diverse group of countries with such a diverse group of stories of how they got there, how touching it is that they chose us, right? So, yeah.
I've been with you too.
in Rutland. Yeah, you have your.
My eyes were moist.
Oh, it's very moving. We do them at the Coolidge Homestead site every year.
So does anyone have any problem adding,
No.
replacing the Office of Professional Regulation with the Secretary of State's office?
No.
Okay, and luckily we have both him and Tucker here. So as even we speak, I'm sure they can be making that change.
In real
time. Seldom has any room been supported by so many wise legislators.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's amazing. Okay, I have another.
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Clarkson.
No, I just had another issue.
Was it for
No.
Warren?
I never have an issue.
Oh, okay. Does anyone else have a question for Warren Hibbert?
Oh, wait, we're only chatting.
Okay. So thank you very much. We
Thank you so
appreciate that.
much. I appreciate your time.
There was one other, I don't want to say issue, but suggestion that came up overnight. Senator Clarkson had an opportunity to talk with Alex, I'm sorry, from the Brattleboro Credit. Folks.
Alex back.
And the suggestion was to take out
World.
World
Education.
Education and replace it
Yes.
with Brattleboro Group. I don't have a problem with that, I guess.
The suggestion that was given to me by that was to combine those two, and if switching to Brattleboro instead of World Education accomplishes them working together on the committee, that's fine.
So can I just elaborate on it? The World Education Services is Mike, who is up on the screen. It's a national organization, not necessarily appropriate for this.
Okay.
Whereas the Brattleboro Development Credit Corp has, they do the work with employment services and all the work with new Americans. I mean, that's what they're a huge part of their office is devoted to. So the other recommendation Alex Beck had was supported one that we talked about but didn't act on, which was having one new American with lived experience here.
Yeah.
I just think
Who would make that appointment?
it's already being appointed by the governor. 7 members appointed by the governor, which shall include.
No.
We don't have someone with lived experience in the bill.
We have 5 members appointed by the governor.
I know, but I'm saying in that section, she asked who would appoint them, and I
Oh.
said that it would be appointed by the governor if we wanted.
Okay.
But he was supportive of our people with lived experience.
And I understand, and I think I'm firmly in the corner of leaving it at 8. And I think 8 is plenty. I don't think we need to go to 9, but I could be persuaded if anybody's a great salesperson.
I also think there's another way to achieve this without adding a member.
Okay,
We have someone appointed. I don't have the most recent copy, so I
Yeah,
can actually remember who this.
copy because all we
I
have is
emailed it to you all.
What was printed and given to me was another copy of 1.1, which was yesterday's
This
copy.
is 2.1.
Yeah, we
Okay.
didn't get 2 points.
We didn't get it. So what I'm wondering, thank you, is if I'm just looking who's appointing whom. So we have someone appointed from AALV, someone appointed from the Vermont Afghan Alliance, and someone appointed from Migrant Justice. I'm wondering if what we can do is put a line in here that says at least one of these members needs to be
I
someone
think
with
that's
experience.
experience.
This way we don't add a member, but it indicates that one of the people on this group needs to have lived experience.
And I think Ruth, who was testified, would be great. I mean, I think either one, yeah, I think that's a great solution.
Yeah, so we stick with 8, but we add a line in saying that one of the members of those 8 needs to have lived experience as a new American.
I applaud your creative thinking, and I'm fine with it.
There she is, even for social worker, very creative.
Is anyone not okay with that?
Who are we giving that suggestion to, Tim or Tucker?
Well, I think they're both scribbling.
Sure, and I was momentarily tracking down the right version to send over to Jillian. Could you run that by me more?
So of the 8 members that are appointed to this committee, one of them must be someone with lived experience as a new American in Vermont. So it does not add a 9th member, it just,
Okay, if you add that, since we haven't defined New American, it may get a little bit wonky.
Oh, what an interesting one. If we have them.
I'll
defining
yield to
what is
either Tucker or
American-
Tim to straighten us out, but
I bet they're clever enough. They're so creative. They'll come up with a brilliant solution.
And I mean, we could, for the record, Tim Devlin, Legislative Council. Let's see, there's one entity, the governor is appointing a good number of these people who can leave it up to their determination what that might be.
I was gonna raise Tucker Anderson, Legislative Council. I was gonna raise that as a potential hurdle to this idea is that you have some members who are ex officio members, and then you have a group of people who are appointed by the governor.
Yeah.
So who would carry the burden of ensuring that there's individual lived experience? If you have members, for example, you have the Secretary of State's office appointing a member, the governor appointing 5. You have ex officio members.
well, so much for your creative thinking.
No, I think we, there's,
As Tim pointed out to the governor, that's
I think if we build it in as. So I'm wondering.
I think you could somehow figure it, because you're right, the AALV and the Afghan Alliance are being appointed by 2 different groups, but I think you could, I think you could require with, say it,
What about,
why not write it at the beginning under membership? And the committee shall be composed of the following, with the expectation that at least one member be a person of a new American with lived experience. And I know we haven't defined new American yet, but we are using it in the title. So we have a rough guess notion of what we're thinking about.
I would recommend inserting it under section 4. It may read awkwardly, but something along the lines of 5 members appointed by the governor, 1 who must be a new American with lived experience. That's the new language. Who shall include? That way you have
Okay,
the
works.
governor, just
Thank you.
kind of checking off the list of submissions he's getting for coordinating with the first 3.
Okay, that works. The only question that raises for me. And again, I'm working off an old copy, so if I'm incorrect, so at this point in time, the member representing the Association of Africans Living in Vermont is not appointed by the governor,
Correct.
but the members from the Afghan Alliance and Migrant Justice are appointed by the governor, so it creates a weird disconnect from the agencies that would likely be connected to people with lived experience.
there's 2 verbs there. One is nominated by and one is appointed by.
One is
So
representing.
And one is represented by, we've got
Yeah.
3 verbs.
So the one member nominated by the Association of Africans Living in Vermont, that nomination would go to the governor with that point.
It's
No,
representing.
it's-
It's not.
That one is out.
That's
What-
out of the government.
Oh,
Because at least I think it is.
It is at the moment.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
There is an updated draft, just because I had pointed out that both of the bill is introduced and the amendments that you've been looking at. A state actor has to be the one actually appointing members to a state committee. You can't have a nonprofit entity directly appointed to.
So they're all appointed by the governor now. Okay, then I no longer have an issue. Never mind.
Okay, so
I
then-
retract my
Then
statement.
we can easily do what Tim just said.
Yes, I say we do that.
And a version 2.1. Sorry for that, what? Our part, you should have them open, sorry, not Julian. It's not very means, but, we'll have a fourth one. And indeed, just to reiterate what Tucker said, section 4, which is the 5 members appointed by the governor, all of those had the same language, of 1 member nominated by X. That repeats.
I have that as section 1,
It is section 1.
not 4, but
It's all under section 1.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. It is section 1 of the subdivision
Yeah.
B.
yeah, 4, okay. Okay, I'm just reading through it. We've included both Commerce and Economic Development committees and House General. We put the Vermont Asylum Assistance Project in there. We're gonna change OPR to Secretary of State. The only other thing I raised, and thank goodness Tucker's smarter than I am. I said, since we deleted the members of the legislature from being in there, it's still in there for attendance at the meetings, they'll be entitled to per diem. And I said, well, why don't we just delete that? But he said, yeah, but what if one of those appointing people say, I want to have Senator White on this?
So
Then you would, so we need to leave that in.
Yeah, well, but then
It's in my head.
don't you also need to say if there's a legislator appointed, they would be.
Well, that's what it says.
That is what
Oh,
it
that's
says.
it. I don't have that.
Yes, you do.
No, do you have two?
It's right before
I
the,
have 2.1.
no, you don't need 2.1 because it was in the other one too. It's right above the effective date.
Other members of the commission be entitled to per diem, right, as they normally are. No, okay, and did we change it to 10 meetings?
Yes.
Okay. We good?
I know this is getting squirrely because we're all looking at
No, we're fine.
different
I'm fine.
versions here,
I'm now fine.
but I think we have what we need.
I think we're.
Would you entertain a motion?
As long as, Tim,
No.
So you all have 2.1, which is what Senator Colbert, you had this
Yes.
morning. I've been just
Right.
kind of updating it. 3 different items have been incorporated. since
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
good.
at 3.1 now. I can read them into the record if you'd like, or I could just modify this and send it to Jillian again, disperse it. And then you can vote off of that. It's up to you.
either way. Do you have 3.1 there?
No, it's still just right here.
All right.
Sorry.
So go ahead with the 3 changes that we
It's
made.
on 3.1 now.
Sorry, Eli.
We're going to change OPR to Secretary of State.
Yes.
We're going to take your suggestion and Senator Hopkins about where to put that other member. And it's going to be lived experience and it's going to be in that group of people that are appointed by the governor. And what was the third one?
The changing of one of the members to be nominated by the Brattleboro Development.
Oh, yes, yes. And take the education, yes, whatever that was out. I don't have it here because it's gone. Okay. So, I got it. Okay, committee, any more changes? Or are you comfortable? Are you understanding what we're doing and everybody's okay? I'm okay. Okay, let's take another vote and I will entertain a motion to pass. This is a strike all, 3.1.
I would move that we vote out S56 draft 3.1 favorably.
And I'll second it.
So I get rid of the title of this down.
You can do that now or at your leisure. Don't look at that because I don't have, it's 3.1.
3.1.
So all you need is draft 3.1 on there,
That's
S56.
56.
They'll get it done.
And Tim will print that out for you when you Well, actually, it's gonna be Senator Bihowski reporting it, so she'll take it upstairs.
Okay. Senator Clarkson,
Yes.
Senator Hart, yes. Senator Wahusky,
Yes.
Senator White,
Yes.
Senator Collins.
Yes. Okay, 500, great. We worked well together again. This is a real
No,
congenial
this is,
compromise bill.
and I just want to say, I really appreciate, because I was here last session when we had this bill, and I think at the end of the year, I felt a little defeated that we hadn't been able to take it up. Because we did pass a ton of bills last year. We
Yes.
got a high total to catch up to if we want.
Yeah, I
So,
know, I know.
but we're getting there, and this is one of the bills that I was like, shucks, we got laughed, and that's why we didn't do it. So I really appreciate that you took the time, because at this moment, new Americans are feeling attacked. And we also have to support them for longstanding reasons. So it's a big moment. So I appreciate, and you reported.
Fine.
Yay, Tommy.
Seriously, long historical perspective, we're all new Americans, quite frankly.
Yeah. Okay, as soon as that's printed, you could give it to Senator Bihowski and she'll have the original bill in the vote, and that'll also be on notice tomorrow, report for Tuesday. Finally, today, you don't have to do anything except give that to, well, actually, you don't have to give her anything. You need to give that back to Julian.
Okay.
Have that.
I feel like I'm winning.
And once she gets to 3.1, she can go up and pick it up.
So we have time, because I'd like to leave you a little sunshine to,
I have to go to my committee, that's why.
when?
And I have a meeting with the governor
Okay.
at 4:30.
You have a meeting with the what?
The governor?
Oh, God.
Oh,
All right, let's talk about S84 if we could. We just got a news flash. Speaking of news, from Paul, that the House Committee has not voted it out. Is that what I'm remembering? And Jonathan Grace here. So bring us up to date if you want.
Sure, to the extent that I can. Paul Heinz, roving journalist, and working for UVM Center for Community News at the moment on this issue. So I don't know how exactly to describe the status of things in the House Committee, but I would say progress has slowed a little bit, might be the most diplomatic way to put it. I think it is quite possible there will still be a vote tomorrow morning on it over there. And so I know that leaves you all in not a great position, I realize, with a single day left. I was hoping to be able to tell you that was moving forward over there and you could take your time with it. And I think one of the challenges is just availability of a witness, and just, I think there's some kind of a chicken and egg question with this bill, which is, so I think some folks in that committee want to know how much we're spending on advertising before we take action. But the bill actually achieves that. The bill mandates that we put. So I think in my view, by passing this legislation, it sort of satisfies that desire. It addresses that desire that we all have to better understand it. So I guess I humbly wonder whether you might be able to consider this tomorrow. It is still possible that at like 9:30 or 10 tomorrow morning, they'll have passed it out of that committee and I can come to you and say, we're good to go, but kind of hedge my bet here a little bit to be perfectly candid.
Well,
So I don't know how you feel about that.
yeah, let me ask you this, if I could, Paul. Did they hear testimony from Beth Vestigi today?
They did, and that was illuminating. She explained some of the challenges around employment ads, the fact that they do, though about 65% of certain types of advertising is in state when it comes to employment. They do rely heavily on Indeed. And so at that point, we all made clear, we're totally happy to exempt employment. And so so that is in the draft that they're currently considering. They are additionally exempting employment. So exempting tourism as well as employment.
Tourism and marketing.
Correct. Well, I think the word is tourism in the language, but I
Yes.
take it as the same thing, but I don't. There's also some discussion of the percentage, the exact percentage, which, you know, for the purposes of keeping the conversation going, like happy to talk about a number. Yeah,
You mentioned a witness that either wasn't available or.
BGS is apparently not making itself available. And so I think that's a challenge and not one that we really can do anything about. I think, yeah, I'm still holding out hope.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's a version of this that, you know, if just, thinking this through, if things don't move forward over there, if there's a version of it that you all would feel comfortable moving forward tomorrow to keep it alive, you know, maybe that would be an approach, or maybe you're all comfortable with it as it is, you know.
Senator White.
I'm comfortable with the bill with the addition of employment ads being separate because of the use of our former constituent's employer. So I would be open to that change and voting in favor of the bill as is.
Senator Mihalski.
I am a little uncomfortable. There's still some people I would wanted to hear from and some tightening up of some definitions that I had wanted. And so I feel a little uncomfortable moving it forward without having the time to do that. It sounds like there's been a lot of testimony in the House, and I don't know what we would get back or if we'd get back anything from them if they're in their space. But I don't want to see it die. And so I'm grappling with that a little bit because I do have some things that I'd be comfortable moving forward for additional discussion, but I would not be comfortable not addressing and passing. And so I find myself in a weird position of being like, sure, I'll vote for something, but if it doesn't get changed over there, I'm not going to vote for it again.
Well, it will come back.
Conference committee.
Yeah, I have similar concerns. What I don't want is for us to be rushed. And then look back later, if someone said, you never heard from this witness, you never heard from that, you just sort of, you didn't take enough testimony kind of thing. I don't think there's any problem with the five of us that we want something passed before crossover, which is people. And I'm happy if the House counterparts take it up early in the morning.
Yeah.
We can do this tomorrow. I guess my 25 words or less thing. I'd be glad to take it up again tomorrow. We have till 5 o'clock to pass something out. And but I think Senator Bielowski's raised a good point. I also would like to know if we're spending $7.5 million, really?
I think we're spending.
I think I do too.
Right.
So that's where I am on it. And as Senator White correctly predicted, if there's two of these going in the same direction, at some point ours is going to go there and theirs is going to come here. And I think we could get together with them and hammer out a reasonable compromise. If it's got to be 75%,
Right.
Whatever.
My hope would be that they would just get us something so that we have time. It feels
Right.
strange as a committee to say, we're not going to do any work on this. We're just going to send it over there where they've already been working on it, as opposed
I
to
agree.
Yeah.
having them send us something that's to work on.
Certainly. Yeah, I totally hear that. And, you know, to your point, and I share your concerns about, you know, making sure we get the definitions just right. I do think it is, you know, worth reiterating right now, there are no restrictions of any type on what media the state can spend its money on. And so all this doesn't open it up any wider. All it says, it closes it down a little bit and for that 80%, right? That this kind of brings it a little bit more towards the state. So, you know, I think the concerns that you and I discussed, you know, perhaps those could be addressed separately. You know, it feels like that's once you start to get into that question of specific news outlets, specific forms of media, I feel like that can get a little bit dicey, which is why we've sort of taken this really big tent approach, though I completely understand where you're coming from and don't disagree. But maybe to save you all time, because I don't want to keep you away from the sunlight, maybe the thing to do, if it makes sense on your end, is tomorrow we'll all cross our fingers that the House takes action. If it looks like that's not going to happen by mid-morning, maybe we can think of a slightly scaled back version of it to keep it alive, that doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. And maybe that's something that we could discuss later in the day.
Senator Flex?
That's fine. I'm ready to do it. So
Or that.
it's an evolving conversation. We know it's an evolving conversation. If we pass this even out as we have it now with jobs added, it's an evolving conversation. So I'm happy to look at it tomorrow, but I'd really like to have us send this
I
on.
feel good about
I
it.
would like
I
to
hope so.
receive it from the house.
Yeah.
Can we ask
I had hoped-
Manoli if she could come in tomorrow?
Um,
She's a BGS.
said,
Oh,
And you already asked.
an emergency, yes.
Well, emergency is crossover, yeah. So the answer is, it's not an emergency, but yes, we would like to have it.
As much of a legislative issue that can be an emergency.
There was also someone that you had suggested, April Barton.
Yes, she has a family, a family health issue at the moment. So she could be available.
Maybe by Zoom.
Yeah, I could ask her again, but she's supporting family member right now. It might be a little bit challenging for her. But I mean, what she will tell you is that she spent, she's an accomplished journalist and she spent quite a bit of time putting in records requests, trying to answer this question. And I think like her takeaway is like, I just don't know, which is sort of brings us back to the point of the bill in the first place, which is like, we could get that answer we could bring in every single department and agency and they could give us the answer for their department or agency, no doubt about it. I think the challenge is there's not one centralized place. And I suspect maybe BGS will say tomorrow that it'll be, well, I shouldn't predict what they're going to say, but I do think it's important for us to know down the line what it is, which is time.
So Jillian, it doesn't necessarily need to be one, it needs to be whoever oversees
I don't think we have
that.
it yet.
well, she's the
Okay, we don't have it yet.
Yeah, she may not have, I mean, if there's somebody else, a designee from Wanda's office, that was probably.
Yeah,
that'd be
legislature is not an emergency. Like I've never experienced a bill emergency necessarily, but like.
Well, let's be honest, we're asking her to do something that she's not doing right now, so her workload will increase. I'm just trying to give her the opportunity to let us know by how much and whether it's,
Yeah, I saw her in the building earlier today, so.
or you did.
Yeah, she was
She
here.
was in our.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't know why
Yeah.
so that's my,
I recall that I had some questions for you that you thought April would be better able to answer.
Right, but I now I'm forgetting what those questions were.
So am I. But I can watch the video and
Maybe we could email her.
Yes, but she could definitely respond by email for sure. I could connect you. Do you want me to connect you by email?
That would be
Yeah, and she could just submit written testimony.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah, I think she does have a version. Yeah, I can get you that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it's just a partial, her best estimate of what's happening right now.
because my other, I actually would like to know from every department what they're spending on advertising. I actually would like them to come here and tell me that, so we'd have a real fleshed out.
Probably take
I
weeks.
understand that. That's why I want the house to get us a bill so we can do our due diligence. This is why I am uncomfortable.
That's a good.
We'll all know, once this goes into play, we will have a much better understanding.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to prepare
I
her.
don't need
That's,
to know that now. I need to, if we have a value of wanting to make sure we're investing in our Vermont journalism, then I don't feel like I need to prove the issue. It's a statement of value, quite frankly, for me, this bill.
Jonathan, you've been quiet, probably because I haven't asked you yet. Is there anything you want to let us know to maybe be helpful? I know you're going to add the employment piece.
Sure. So Jonathan Gray, Office of Legislative Counsel. The thing I would offer just practically is I have an edited version of an amendment that does exactly that available right now and
Okay.
actually posted.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do something today, it is possible, but obviously you don't have to. The question I would ask, is just, the bill itself sets up a mechanism, right, for collecting information on the advertising that the state does. It's not clear to me what practical difference is made by people knowing the magnitude of dollars spent. It's certainly, I don't know what changes by knowing, why you would say yes or no differently based on knowing
The fiscal impact, it may be significantly more expensive to spend dollars in state than it is to say buy a Facebook ad. I think there is.
Yes.
oh.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
knowing how much we spend now.
It also
We
helps.
spend a bomb on Facebook ads.
Yeah, but I think if you agreed that the percentage of that should go up no matter what the amount of money is. You know?
That's kind of the question. That point makes complete sense to me. It's like this could be a costlier advertising mechanism. But if that's the case, I guess I'm wondering to the point about the percentages are just specifying if you would like to do it different. Like, it's not obvious to me. I guess I just don't see what difference, like, I'll let you guys have the discussion. I've just been confused when I walked out of the other committee too, because it's like the bill sets up the mechanism for collecting that information. It would be great to know what people are spending.
Yeah, I guess my point for why I'm okay with not knowing is because that money should be invested in local journalism, in my opinion, even if it does cost more. And knowing if it's, and I understand that tangibly that would be potentially more money with a larger budget. I think that we are wasting that money.
I'm not opposed to the concept of this bill.
So the amount of money to me, yeah, I think is what I'm saying is like, it doesn't, like that doesn't factor in to the concept of it. Because if it is more, what you're saying, because I think that, because what you're, I really do want to understand the point. So you're saying that if we had to switch, Facebook will cost more.
No,
No, she's saying the opposite.
Well,
we can't use Facebook
Right.
Oh, okay.
because we now have to use something in the state. The general budget is going to.
But
be
they're,
lower.
but to, you're saying the outreach numbers they need to meet would cost more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so it's not that they're gonna be paying, because my understanding is they get a budget, they get an ad budget, and then they say, okay, we'll spend it on this
I
stuff.
know, I'm jealous.
And
So
then
now
they
they
can
should be doing
choose.
less advertising and how is that going to impact the Department of Health and the message they get out? I do.
But they will be doing the same amount of
No, they won't.
advertising.
If
You're
the
saying-
advertising costs more and their budget is the same, they will be able to do less advertising.
Correct. Less bang for your buck.
Well, maybe, like, I don't know if that's actually true, because like Facebook ads don't, even if they cost less, it doesn't necessarily mean they're more effective at doing the work of getting eyeballs on it. And I sure as heck don't want more people using Facebook to get government information. You know, so it's like, even if it sees less eyeball, like, realistically, I still think that it's just, I guess, I hear what
I
you're saying.
support the concept. I am deeply uncomfortable moving it forward without understanding the impacts of some of these other things.
Yeah, we will never get that from them without.
I think we can have a better understanding than one read through of the bill and no witnesses.
Yes, I think what I'm trying to say is what I heard was we had someone who attempted to do that through FOIA requests essentially and was unable to ascertain that information. And we're also hearing that there are multiple departments who don't necessarily openly, enthusiastically want to share that information.
Get
So I
their
don't-
bodies. We are.
And that's what I think this bill does. Because I think if we, yeah, I hear what you're saying as well, but.
I would just also like to say, I take your point, and that makes sense to me, that you could have, if you had a difference in magnitude, like a wild difference in magnitude between the two, that could have some fiscal impact that determine the difference based on whether you spent 7 million versus 70 million of advertising and the like.
So let me see if I'm reading the room. I think we're gonna pass on it today and we'll take some more testimony tomorrow, hoping that our counterparts finally do get a vote out and then they can ship us the bill and then we can really dive deeply into this because it'll make sense.
Can I ask, because I think we at least had one point of agreement that was like a change tangibly to the bill.
Oh, yeah.
We direct to have that amendment that you have around the employment ads be in whatever
Yes.
version we
Yes,
look
and
at
it's in the
tomorrow.
House version.
Yes, so whatever that change is.
I can, I have the amendment for you guys, already.
Wow.
And it's posted, so we, that exists, and it just includes as an additional exemption to the tourism focused advertisement, any employment search or job posting, so that's picked up by that exception, so that's ready if there's the appetite to do something. like
Yeah,
that.
I think you can include that right now if you want.
Yep.
And then we'll see what the post does tomorrow.
Maybe we can
I wonder if it's
pressure them gently.
Yeah, I think their floor is earlier tomorrow, I think.
I believe.
Yeah, I feel like
This has been a while, Friday.
Hi,
is
Jeremy.
10 a.m.
Jillian can find out tomorrow. It may be different because it's crossover.
Oh, fair point. We're
Well,
thinking
ours is
other
11:30, so we won't be
changes.
meeting until the afternoon. And maybe by then, something will happen.
Do we?
Well, you could ask Matt.
No,
At what, you know, just ask Matt and say, if you're gonna take up S 84, we really appreciate you taking it up in the.
Just ask them to send it
Okay.
to us so we can dig into their questions. We have the same questions.
send it away.
And perhaps, what are the bills that are coming over from them, and is there anything that's germane to this topic that's coming over
I
from
have
them?
no idea.
Because that would also help me determine if there's a heartbeat after, if we don't do anything, you know? Cause I still want this to have a heartbeat, and so if there's anything germane that I guess, hey,
You don't
you've
think putting
been
it on the
over.
Tula bill? Oh, no, that's.
Yeah,
The
is
extent-
there a germane related bill to
We've asked them.
journalism?
The extent of my involvement
good.
in GovOps
Yeah,
is purely.
that's that line
I don't know
item.
how,
That's not a good sign for that
Sorry.
question.
And,
Oh, yeah.
well, I don't
Thank you.
typically get pulled into GovOps, so this is.
We don't have,
Where-
So lovely to have you here, Jonathan.
I need to figure out when you're available. Yeah.
Yeah, she's.
I'll be there tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Okay, committee, is there anything else that we wanted to accomplish today? I think we
That's
moved
23.
bills. That's tomorrow. We're gonna do that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it. I will keep you posted if anything
Okay.
changes. I have to run, pick up a child, but thanks so much.
Okay. Yeah, so, 23, the, so-called deep fake bill, we'll take that up tomorrow afternoon. I'm planning on passing that out, and I will report it unless somebody's earnestly hoping they could. That's
I
fine too.
think it's your world.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think it's great in your world, open meeting law, and your world, New Americans. I think so far we have.
And Windsor County skated free without needing any bill reports.
No, I haven't done it.
Well, not yet. I mean,
just wait.
up till this.
And Windsor County,
Everything so.
Windsor County can tag team on advertising.
We'll be able to share the reporting
Because-
load as we move forward.
Because Windsor County has so many rocket local weekly newspapers.
I talk about I would love to talk about the Valley.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Give me an excuse to talk about the Valley.
And our daily.
Yeah, probably will.
Bridgewater Corners.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot-
Anything else, committee? Going
No,
once?
Vermont Standard.
We're calling it a day.
Back up. The Vermont Standard.